Welcome to One Little Spice, the Disney food podcast that isn't afraid to send you into the taste lab. Welcome to episode 5, Empire Strikes Breakfast. I'm Julie.
And I'm Amy.
And yes, it is another Star Wars pun. Alright, so we are doing our 4th and final contest. I know it's confusing because it's week 5, but this was our 4th contest. And we are going to draw a winner. This week we are talking about La Tratoria al Forno Bon Voyage breakfast, and we are also talking about the Cape May breakfast. Now, the people who guessed only guessed Tratoria al Forno, but you all still got your name in, and so I just want to give a shout out to you guys first. It is Megan Petrus, Sarah Richert, I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, I tried. We had Katie Stairs and Caitlin Jean. So, I'm going to draw the raffle winner now. And the winner is Katie Stairs. Awesome. So, thank you everyone for participating in the contest. Now that the contest is done, we will send out your swag. I know you guys have been in anticipation waiting for that, so I hope you love it, and thank you again so much for participating in our contest. We'll have a few more down the line, but that is it for this round. We're going to start off with Amy's News on the Nines. News on the Nines.
This is Amy with News on the Nines. So, Magic Kingdom started serving beer and wine at all table restaurants.
Wine and beer to handcrafted beers made in local breweries. Do you know what song that's from? Do you? Do you know what musical that's from? Do ya? Do ya? That was for you guys out there, not Amy. Amy knows what song it is.
Yes. Magic Kingdom was dry until 2012 when Be Our Guest introduced wine and beer to the Magic Kingdom.
Amy sounds so excited about talking about this. Can you tell with the monotone voice that is happening right now? Let's try again.
I was trying so hard.
I know, but you didn't sound excited. Can you just not sound excited when you... Do you have to talk really quietly to have inflection in your voice?
Magic Kingdom was dry until 2012 when Be Our Guest introduced a wine and beer list to their dinner menu. Their French food and French wine goes with French food, so that was their excuse for bringing it in. December 23rd, 2016.
December 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From here on out, I shoot without a script. It's just going to be a rent night, isn't it?
December 23rd, 2016, they added Tony's Town Square, Cinderella's Royal Table, Skipper's Canteen, and Liberty Tree Tavern.
And, I mean, let's be honest, Tony's Town Square needed it.
Mm-hmm. May 7th of this year, we saw the remainder of the Magic Kingdom restaurants now serving alcohol, or beer and wine. Crystal Palace and the Plaza, in case you weren't keeping track.
And we went out to our humanoids in our Facebook Likey world. What? What was anything that I just said?
Yeah, Julie, I'm supposed to be the weird one that says awkward things, not you. Julie's being as awkward as me.
What did I even just say? Alright, so we went out to Julie and the street team. So we actually asked on Facebook yesterday anybody's opinion on what they thought about Magic Kingdom having beer and wine in all their table service restaurants, and we got some different opinions. Megan Petrus, as I agree with, said that Walt never wanted it in the Magic Kingdom, which is so insanely ridiculously true. And so it's just one of those things where if they start serving it at the table service, yes, they just have it at table service now, so they're not walking around the parks with it, but it's kind of that downward spiral as to when are they just going to have it everywhere in Magic Kingdom and kind of all over Walt's dream.
Yeah, that's totally staying in there. So one thing I noticed the couple of times that I have been to Be Our Guest for dinner when they've had alcohol was that they are pretty slow to come give you another glass of wine, glass of beer, if you catch my drift. So it's not like other restaurants, just in general, not just in Disney, but it's not like other restaurants where...
Like at Bongo's, where I got, 6 drinks, and I didn't even realize it. She's like, yeah, you had like 4. And
yeah.
What? I did? Huh?
Yes. But yeah, so they're kind of slow to on the refill, so that, honestly, I feel like that's on purpose, and that's kind of a good thing, in my opinion.
Not good for everywhere, but
No,
Magic Kingdom.
Not good for everywhere, but good for Magic Kingdom. There are... I'm trying so hard.
Sorry. What is happening?
I'm trying so hard.
I would like to apologize in advance. Amy and I have the giggles.
Yes. There are also specialty cocktails and hard cider at a lot of these restaurants. The hard cider is part of the beer menu, and the specialty cocktails are wine-based cocktails like sangria or mimosas or wine and some sort of fruit juice in general, rather...
Because what is a sangria or mimosa but wine and fruit juice?
Well, I think the Plaza has a white wine with, like, a pineapple juice, I think.
Oh, so kind of like a sangria but without the brandy?
Yeah, something like that.
One of our listeners, Jillian, said that the only place that she thinks there is a booze problem is Epcot because of the drinking around the world. There are bars and drink kiosks everywhere at Animal Kingdom, and she's never seen people hammered the way she does at Epcot. To which Andy responded, there's no drink around the African continent challenge. To which I responded, challenge accepted. With a cute little Cuzco gif saying, bring it on. So I think that might be something that Amy and I do on our next trip. We will be drinking around the African continents. It's going to be a vlog.
Oh, yes. Put it on the spreadsheet.
It's on. Like donkey. Kong.
So we're going to have a special report on News on the Nines by our rogue reporter, Julie. Go for it.
All right, so I have some awesome news for everybody. We now have dates for when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge,
AKA Star Wars Land,
is going to be opening. I'm so excited, I can't wait. It's opening summer 2019 for Disneyland. I hate you all in California. And it will be opening in late fall 2019 for us here on the East Coast in Disney World. So Amy and I have decided that we are going to have a little contest between the two of us as to what dates we think they're going to open in each park. You know, what's a friendship without a little friendly competition? I'm going to win. So, Amy, would you like to start?
No. So, in Disneyland, summer 2019, I have no idea why, but June 30th, flashing through my mind. Is that when they're opening Toy Story Land?
That's when they're opening Toy Story Land.
I thought it was June.
That's probably why it's flashing through your mind. That's
Darn
okay.
it. Okay, June 15th. No.
You already guessed June 30th. All right, so my guess is the weekend of my birthday, which I believe is July 14th. No, July 13th through 15th. So I'll say July 13th next year, which is a Saturday. Mainly because I want them to open on my birthday weekend, so I have an excuse to go visit, even though Amy can't because she's in her pool store. Sorry, Amy just gave me a really sad, angry face.
Well, I didn't look at a calendar. I just picked dates.
Okay,
so now I'm pulling up a calendar.
So I didn't pull up a calendar at all. I just know that my birthday is on a Sunday this year, so I know that it's on a Monday next year, so that the 13th is a Saturday.
I don't know what date my thing is, so...
So my thought process for this is they already have July 4th happening, so I don't think it's going to be July 4th. And when they said summer, they didn't say early summer or late summer. They just said summer. So I'm thinking that weekend after July 4th might be a good weekend opening for it because that'll draw the crowds for the summer. And I thought later in the summer is fine because California has much better weather than we have here on the East Coast, so it's not going to be insanely hot. I was there for I think the 24th of July in 2014, and it was not super hot even though it was the middle of July. So if they do it in the middle of July, it's not a big deal. I think the reason why they launch things on the East Coast so early in the summer is because June 30th it's going to be like a bajillion degrees and no one wants to deal with that over the summer.
So you're saying July
13th.
Okay. So now that I've pulled up a calendar...
You already said June 30th.
No, I was moving on to Walt Disney World.
Oh, Disney World. Oh,
yes.
Then I get to go first if you pulled up the calendar.
You get to go to first.
So, I'm a little torn about this one. They said late fall for a reason, and I'm wondering if they're going to wait till the end of the Food and Wine Festival to open the park, which will be really sad because we'll definitely have to take another weekend down. I don't even care. So, we're going to be there.
Of course we will.
We're going to be there the 6th through the 12th,
This
which
year.
is it? I don't think it's the last weekend. I think it's the weekend before the last weekend, but this weekend, it might be the last weekend.
No, it's the weekend before the last weekend.
Is it long this year?
Because I think, let me go back to for this year. So Dapper Day was like 10th, 11th, and 12th. No, so it is the last week. I don't know. When was Dapper Day? Let's look up Dapper Day. Because I remember looking to see if Dapper Day crossed over with Food and Wine. It does not.
The 17th and the 18th might be the last day. So, see, now I'm a little conflicted on this one because they might wait until Food and Wine is over, or they might do it the last weekend of Food and Wine, so the park is open before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
They might also do it Thanksgiving weekend, the 24th. So I think my guess is going to be November 24th, which saddens me because I'd really like it to be November 10th, so we're down there, and that would actually, like, screw up all of... No, I think that would not screw up all of our plans.
Well, it's not this year,
we-
it's next year. So
Oh, perfect! So
and next year we're planning to do the half marathon.
Oh, yeah, so it would not be that time anyway. Anyway, so I would like to say that it's going to be not the date that I was looking at, because I was looking at 2017, so... No, 2018, because that's the year we're in.
It is the year we're in.
Alright, so let me go to that spiel again. Oh, yeah, no, so Thanksgiving is actually the 28th this year, so I think that they will probably... The last weekend of Food and Wine will probably be the 16th to the 17th, and the next weekend will be the 23rd, so I think November 23rd will be when they open up
Galaxy's Edge.
Star Wars Land.
I am thinking, after looking at a calendar, November 2nd. I don't know why. It probably makes... It's right after Halloween.
But that's Marathon weekend.
Marathon weekend may or may not be that weekend. It might be the next weekend. It depends. It has to do with...
So I was also thinking possibly being right after Halloween because I didn't think they'd want it to coincide with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
At the same time...
But then I also thought Food and Wine.
As we're jumping around a little bit, another alternative would be, like, October...
But that's not late.
You're right. It's not late.
So late...
What do they mean?
So late fall goes into December 20th.
Yes.
December 21st is the first day of winter.
Yes.
So theoretically, it could even be into December, and they're definitely doing it before Christmas.
Yes.
So maybe the
absolutely.
first weekend in December even?
Or, like, right after
But I feel
Thanksgiving.
like they'd want to do it before Thanksgiving, because that's when all the crowds are coming, right? Maybe they'll do pass holder weekend?
I do not
But
know.
I mean, they've done holiday weekend. They did Memorial Day weekend for
That's true.
Pandora, so maybe it is going to be...
Veterans Day weekend.
No, that's too soon. That's not late. That's like the middle of. I feel
November,
like late fall is the beginning of December. And I think that's what they mean by it. I think it's going to be the beginning of December. But my guess is still November 23rd.
As we know from previous releases of certain things, it's possible this all might change. It's possible that it would be fall for Disneyland 2019 and spring for Walt Disney World 2020.
I wonder if they're like already done with the whole thing and they're just pretending like they're not and they're waiting for Toy Story Land to open and Pixar Festival and Pixar Pier and then doing it after that.
I don't think they're done with it, but I would not be
surprised. I mean, I feel like
surprised.
they're probably on the later stages of like fine-tuning everything.
Yeah.
They're probably going to take a really long time to train cast members.
You're right. They're probably at a point where it's all most large infrastructures are either not done, but like getting finished.
Like at least the largest part of construction is done, and now it's kind of adding the fine-tuning, painting, things like that.
They're zeroing in on the details. You made a great point that they would want to space it out from Toy Story Land, and they're basically doing it at least a full year between when they open Toy Story Land
because when's Pixar
to
Pier
when
going to be finished in Disneyland? Hey, Jonna, do you know? If you do, please leave a comment on our Facebook page to let us know. So we are now done with Amy's News on the Nines. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, we want to dive into Disney dining reservations. So this is definitely something that's really important, and it's something that we want to talk about now because we are getting into some of the restaurants where you actually need a reservation to eat. If anybody tells you could just walk up, yes, there are options, and sometimes people cancel at the last minute, and they might magically have a table for you, but don't ever plan on that, especially not at Sci-Fi Diner, just saying. So how it works, if you are staying at a Disney resort, you get to make your dining reservations 180 days in advance plus 10. What that means is on the 180th day, Amy, step in at any time because I clearly can't get these.
So what that means is 180 days before your first vacation day, you are able to make reservations for Disney dining plus the next 10 days of your trip.
So they do this so that you can book all of your reservations for your entire stay. I mean, some people stay more than 10 days, but the average trip is usually about 7 to 8 days. So they give you the option to book 180 days plus 10 if you're staying at a Disney resort because that gives you the ability to book food reservations for all of the days of your trip.
Or at least the first 10, but most people's trips are less than 10 days.
Yeah, it's kind of like the average. Some people take a lot less, some people take a lot more, but the 10 is kind of the average. So 10 days out, it gives everybody the opportunity and chance to make the reservations that they want. Reservations for that 180 days start online through My Disney Experience or through the website at 6 a.m. And then over the phone, you can start making reservations at 7 a.m. because that's when they get in the morning. That's when they open up. So if you want to start a little earlier, make sure you log into the app and through online. You want to make sure you plan ahead. Amy and I have spreadsheets on spreadsheets on spreadsheets of our first option, our second option, if we need to switch a couple days because our reservations aren't at the right time that we want them for the certain day that we're doing. This time we didn't even look at when magical hours are, so we have no idea. We literally booked all the food for this trip because we want to be able to give you guys that much more information about different food places. So we booked a whole bunch of new places that we've never eaten before, and we're really excited about this one. So to give an example, we flipped Magic Kingdom and Epcot days this trip because we are doing Beaches and Cream with a couple of you guys eating the kitchen sink, and the reservations for the day we wanted to go were weird hours. So we flip-flop our Epcot and Magic Kingdom days because that's when the reservations worked out better. So we touched base on how I spreadsheet in preparation.
So much spreadsheets. So you don't have to do a spreadsheet, but it certainly helps. A lot of people will just be like, I want to eat at this restaurant on this day that we're in this park, and they'll choose lunch or dinner, whatever works for them. Sometimes the dinner menu and lunch menu are very different. Example, Be Our Guest. You get a breakfast, lunch, and dinner menu, and they're all completely different. So you really need to know if there is a specific menu you're after, or if it's just, hey, I want to be at this restaurant.
All right, so the biggest thing, and Amy is going to touch base on this one. I don't know if she can say it loud enough, but
always check your resort reservations before 180 days.
Do you know why? Because you want to make sure that you can make your reservations on 180 days. Let me tell you a story about what happened this time when I tried to make reservations. I almost called myself Julie again. So, I woke up bright and early on our morning of our 180 days to make our reservations. And I made a reservation for the first night. I kind of looked at it and was like, why don't I see the rest of our trip here? But I'm going to make our Tiffin's reservation and kind of go from there. So I clicked on our hotel reservation, and my Disney Experience was like, hey, you don't actually have a reservation here. So I called up Disney, and they said they couldn't find it because we went through a travel agent. And what ended up happening was Amy's card wasn't processed. Amy was, like, still sound asleep, like, I don't have to get up yet, I'm so sleepy. And I'm texting her incessantly to the point where she was like, I guess I'll check my phone. And I'm like, why is our travel agent not in yet? What is happening? And Amy's like, calm down, it's gonna be okay. Like, everything is going to be okay.
So our travel agent's actually wonderful, and it's really not her fault that
this happened. Our travel agent is like the most amazing woman in the entire world. She's awesome. Shout out to Terry if you're listening to this. You are the greatest travel agent in the world.
Rich is also great. Terry and Rich.
Terry and Rich, we love you both. But
first class travel, North Reading, Massachusetts.
But what ended up happening was Amy had changed her address on her credit card and didn't change it on the reservation. So her credit card got declined. And the reservation was still there. So when our travel agent called, all she had to do was say, hey, this was the reservation number. Let's charge the credit card. We did end up getting a new reservation number, but everything was all set. And it was
exactly the same.
And it was at like 12:30 that same day. So it's not like it was any longer than... I freaked out. Super freaked out.
Yeah.
So, but to avoid this... just make sure that you check that your reservation is secure and your credit card was charged and you have your reservation before that 180 days so that you can make reservations for your whole trip with ease.
So yes, if your credit card is showing processing, keep checking back until it shows that it's gone through.
And Disney bent over backwards. The woman that I was on the phone with really went out of her way to try and help us, but there was just nothing that she could do because we went through the travel agent, which isn't a bad thing. Once our reservation is in and actually processed correctly, Disney can help us out with everything, but because it wasn't processed correctly, that was the issue that we ran into.
Side note about travel agents, you are going to pay the same to a Disney authorized travel agent that you would going just straight through the website or the telephone, over the phone to Disney. So I figure, why not stimulate the economy and help put some money in someone else's pocket rather than just Disney.
Basically how it works is you don't pay the travel agent, Disney pays the travel agent.
Correct.
All right, so here are some tips on how to make your dining reservations. I find it much easier to do online than over the phone.
As do I.
When I tried calling the Disney dining reservation line that morning of our 180 days, it said that I would be on hold for a half an hour. Sometimes people like talking to a human to book their trips, and Disney is super awesome and super magical, so they're really good at helping out. So if you want to talk to them over the phone and you want to wait a little extra to talk to them, it's not a bad thing. My Disney Experience app is definitely the easiest way to do it. What I personally do is that I have my computer and my phone up at the same time in case either my phone goes down or my internet goes down on my computer, so I have both options available for my reservations. If you don't get your exact reservation, make sure you have a secondary choice available and then book it. And then always look back to see if things open up because people cancel reservations all the time. I remember what happened with one of our reservations with, I think it was Ohana. We wanted an Ohana reservation at 7:30 and we ended up getting a 9 o'clock one, and we just kept checking back every day, and finally a 7 o'clock reservation opened up and we took it. So if you don't get the reservation that you want, make sure you have backups and keep checking back because your reservation might open up. So now that we've talked about Disney dining reservations, we can get into the meat and potatoes of our podcast. So this month we are going over some character meals that we really enjoyed. So today we are talking about the awesome character breakfast at Tratoria al Forno, which is on the boardwalk, and the surprisingly good character breakfast buffet at Cape May. So that is at the Beach Club, and we're not huge fans of buffets because they usually only have generic foods.
Especially breakfast buffets, I get a little weary of, and unless the buffet is like something interesting and different, I tend to be like, it's a buffet, half of the food is going to be super generic, and we'll get lucky if the other half is something interesting.
And most Disney breakfast buffets are scrambled eggs, sausages, bacon, Mickey waffles.
Now,
with some other things thrown in there, but...
Granted, all of those things are delicious, but do I want to pay $35 or $35 or whatever?
And usually character buffets are a little more expensive because they are characters, and it's a buffet, so you can eat all the food that you want.
All you care to eat.
Huh. All you care to eat.
That's the official tagline of a buffet or like a family-style type restaurant in Disney is it's all you care to eat buffet or all you care to eat
I care
platter.
to eat all of it. So, one of the things that we really want to touch upon right here, because as you can hear, neither of the two restaurants that we're talking about today were at any of the parks. They were at the resorts. So, don't be afraid to eat at the resorts. We, personally, stay at the All-Star Sports and love to venture out. We stay at the All-Star Sports
because it's really cheap.
Yeah, and all we do is sleep there, and then we can spend more funny on mood.
More funny on mood.
So we can spend more money on food and bring more content for you guys. Also because we love to eat. Please. So from now on, it'll be to bring more content to you. But in reality, it's just because we love to eat and that's what we spend our money on. And really awesome Haunted Mansion snow globes.
I do want to stay someday at the beach club because I need to.
We have to stay at the beach club.
Like,
no, absolutely.
We could stay there, and I could just like be in the pool for like an entire day. Like I won't, but it's a sandy bottom pool.
But I feel like that day could be our beach resort day, and we'll just stay there one night, spend the whole day at the beach resort.
Yes.
Eat at Cape May for breakfast.
Do everything.
Eat at Cape May for dinner.
Just
eat
like
at Ale and Compass for breakfast.
Get the staff to show me the filter system and how that whole thing works. That would be great.
They would love us.
Anybody got some DVC points they want to get rid of?
Ugh. We would have stayed at the boardwalk. Do you know who has stayed at the boardwalk?
Hanson.
Hanson has stayed. How many times have I told you that story?
Every single time we go to the boardwalk. This is where Hanson stays when they come here.
Oh, and when you read the letter that I wrote to Megan about how she had the selfie with Isaac at the... We love to venture out, so we want to talk about different ways of getting around so that you're not afraid to also venture out.
We love eating at the different resorts and visiting the different resorts.
There are so many...
It can be a little tricky to get from one resort to another, and we like to do it easily and fast.
And there are so many awesome restaurants at the different resorts that if you're not staying at them, you might be missing out. And we really want to be able to share our experiences about traveling around so that you guys can enjoy all the restaurants that we get to enjoy as well. So, the first thing is Disney started doing Uber, which is actually really cheap. They started it about 2 years ago, and it's about...
They started allowing it.
They started allowing it on Disney property, exactly.
Lyft, too.
So, it's about $6 to $8 per ride.
Generally, we've had it up to like
$13. So, when the parks are closing... Or it's about when the times
pricing.
that... Exactly, it's surge pricing like you get anywhere else. But even during that time, it's only like $13. It's not exuberant like it is up here when it's surge time and it's $23 to get 3 feet. But Disney Uber is definitely one of the easiest ways to get around. And we probably spend, I want to say like $40 tops on a trip on...
Yeah, we don't use it all the time. There are select times that we're going to use it.
And it's when we're going to a breakfast at a different resort or at closing time when we don't want to wait for the bus to the All-Star Resort, or we're just really cranky and we're like, let's take an Uber.
So, also, if you're going from resort to resort, so if you're going from your resort to go eat at another resort, it's one of the fastest ways.
And you don't want to waste... So basically, you can, like, go to a park... Like, take a bus to a park, and then take a bus at that park to the other resort, but it takes so long, because you're on the bus for about a half an hour from, resort to park, and then another half an hour from park to resort.
10 to 20.
20 minutes is usually about how long it takes.
It's fair. It can be shorter, but it's kind of, an
depending
average.
on what resort you're staying and which park you choose to travel to. You never know if the bus is going to be on time.
Like when you're waiting for a bus from the Animal Kingdom
to the Coronado for
which makes
20
no
minutes.
sense.
And then 40 minutes.
It's the closest resort to the Animal Kingdom.
And even asking the cast members, they were like, oh yeah, no, it's going to be here. And then another 20 minutes later, and it wasn't there.
And also keep in mind, 3 buses stop and tell us
that they're not actually going
to
the
they're
Coronado.
like, no, we're closing. And they all said Coronado. But anyways, we digress.
We digress. The next option is the mini vans. And if you haven't heard of these or seen them, they're really awesome. I don't know if they've been pushed to all the resorts yet, but So they are at all the resorts now. When we saw them and we were at the parks, they only had them at the high-end resorts. But you can get a minivan through Lyft, which is like Uber.
In order to do that, you would go to the front desk and they will not authorize it. They will activate it on your Lyft app.
Really?
Yes, you have to go to the front desk and they will activate it on your Lyft. But you only have to do that once, I believe.
So when we tried to do it from the Grand Floridian, that's why it wasn't showing up on our app, because no one activated it for us. Okay.
I'm sure if we went to the front desk at the Grand Floridian, they probably would have turned it on, because even though we weren't staying there, they could see that we were staying at the park.
That was after we went to the chef's table at Victoria and Albert's.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole...
2, 3, 4 episodes on that.
Yeah, there's going to be at least one, probably more, full podcast just on the chef's table at Victoria and Albert's.
It's going to be a, to be continued, because we have so much to say.
Yes.
Or you'll just sit for that 5-hour episode because that's how long we sat and ate the food.
It was amazing.
Oh my god, it was amazing. So we got the opportunity to see one of the minivans when we were at the Contemporary, and it was actually really, really cool to see close up because, you know, you never know with those things. Like, yeah, it could be pretty and flashy on the outside, but it was actually really awesome quality. We knew that they were a little bit pricier. They are about $20 per lift, but we got to see one up close and it is really great quality. The driver was super awesome, super professional. They have specific uniforms that they need to wear. So they have a car seat, so you don't have to worry about making sure your driver has a car seat if you are doing something like that. So with the minivans, you can get either a regular SUV size, or they also have the large passenger vans, so if you have a larger party, that is also an option as well. One of the things that Amy and I do often is we use the monorail, because who doesn't want to ride the monorail every chance you get?
I love the monorail so much. It makes me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my monorail away.
So Amy and I like to take the monorail when we go to the Polynesian, the Contemporary, or the Grand Floridian, because those are the 3 resorts that are on the monorail loop. So you could take the monorail from the Ticket and Transportation Center, from Magic Kingdom, or from Epcot. Amy and I like to plan our days in the Magic Kingdom and Epcot with a dinner reservation at the Polynesian, Contemporary, or Grand Floridian, because while we're in the park, instead of taking a bus, instead of trying to get back to our resort, we
can take the monorail! I really love the monorail.
We could take the monorail. 4 meals, and we do this because it's on the monorail loop, and it makes it nice and convenient. So
and we love the monorail.
Yeah, we love the monorail. So when we plan a day in the park, or no, more likely, when we get a reservation at, say, the California Grill, we know that we're going to spend that day in either Epcot or Magic Kingdom, so that from there we can go on the monorail to that resort for our dinner reservation. Another way of getting around, and it's the only way that you can get to certain reservations, is from Magic Kingdom you could take boats and ferries. We took a boat to the Grand Floridian once because the monorail was down. And you can also get from the Magic Kingdom to the Fort Wilderness and the Wilderness Lodge, the Fort Wilderness.
Side note, you can't take an Uber or Lyft to the Magic Kingdom. If you do, they'll drop you off at the Ticket and Transportation Center. You can get by this by having them take you to the Contemporary and walking over. However, the minivans will, I believe, pick you up and drop you off actually at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I've seen the minivans there. So that is getting edited back into the Uber section where Amy totally forgot that was a thing and making my life even harder as the podcast editor. Thanks, Amy.
Sorry.
The other way that you can get around, and it takes a lot longer, but if you don't want to spend the extra money, it's definitely something that you can do, is the buses. So the buses go from resort to parks. So the only way that you can get to other parks is by going to a park or by going to Disney Springs. And what is really cool now is that the buses also go from park to park.
Yes, they did not always go to park, and you would have to take a bus to a resort and then take it to a park. So it would be like a game of what is the closest resort to this park.
But that doesn't matter because sometimes you still have to wait 40 minutes for that bus.
Yeah. Hashtag, I love the Coronado, so does
Oh my
Julie.
god, the Coronado is amazing. That was actually the first Disney resort I ever stayed at. The other way that you can get around, because if not, we're just going to talk about this forever, is taxis. And taxis are a little bit pricier, but sometimes they're your only option. And one time that I used them, I was staying at a non-Disney resort, and I went from Disney Springs to said non-Disney resort, that trip with you and Amanda, and I spent $20 on a 10-minute drive. So it's not ideal if you can get around another way, but it is an option if you have to take one.
I believe the taxis are, most of the taxis, the official taxis, I suppose you could say.
The Mears taxis.
Are run by Mears, which is actually the same...
Oh, is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, is actually the same company that does the...
Disney Magical Express.
And Tragical Express. Tragical Express, of course, being when you're going back to the airport.
We have a lot of pictures of our Tragical Express faces.
They're usually quite sad.
I gotta say
or frantic.
last trip we decided to stay an extra day because flights home were a lot cheaper. So I had originally in my spreadsheet put the Tragical Express in, and instead we went to the Brown Derby Lounge and celebrated the not Tragical Express with some cocktails and lounge food. That was awesome. Okay, and then the other thing to think of is if you do own your car, they now charge you $15 a night at the hotels, plus whatever parking is at the parks. But if you're parking at a resort, then you don't need to park at the parks because you could just take the bus.
If you are a annual pass holder, you get free parking at the parks, which is fantastic. Real quick about using your own car.
Real talk.
Especially at the deluxe resorts, unless you have a reservation, it can be hard to park there. You don't have a reservation, so you don't show up on their system as, yeah, let this person park here. Alrighty, so I think that is probably all we have to say right now about transportation. I'm sure in the future we'll have many things to say about transportation. Monorail.
So now we can get into the actual meat and potatoes of this podcast. I'm so punny. So, first we're going to talk about Tratoria al Forno, which is on the boardwalk. What Disney says about it is, jumpstart your morning with a hearty breakfast featuring beloved characters from some of your favorite Disney fairy tales. Familiar faces from popular animated tales such as Tangled and The Little Mermaid will be drifting through the restaurant and stopping by your table to meet you while you dine on delicious morning staples. When it says such as, it means only Tangled and The Little Mermaid. It was a character breakfast. Like I said, we're going to be talking about our character meals for this month, and it was called the Bon Voyage Breakfast. And the characters that we saw were Rapunzel and Flynn, Eugene Fitzherbert, and Ariel and Eric. I do also have in my podcast that I have his name down as Jeff. I know that wasn't his name, but at the time I couldn't think of Eric. So it says Ariel and Jeff. I'm apparently the only one that finds that funny. So, Rapunzel and Flynn were amazing. Rapunzel was super sweet and awesome, and Flynn, Eugene, was just so dreamy and super interactive, and I have written down, OMG, Eugene, swoon.
Capital letters. No, they were actually really fun. We had a group of two little girls or a little girl and a boy? A little boy and a little girl. And next to us, and so initially when the characters...
They were also with their parents. It wasn't just a little boy and a little girl next to us.
Yes, with their parents. So initially when they started coming over, we were like, hey, if you want to go to them first, because they're super excited, like, you can, but they have, like, a pass, so they went to us first, so we were trying to be nice. But they were super fun and interactive,
and even though there were the two little kids next to us, they still took their time and made it magical for us, too. Yeah. So they took their time and had their interactions with us, and...
Which was really great, because as adults, most of the time you do get a lot of good interactions, but a lot of times...
and obviously we, expect them to focus on the kids, because that's... what's really important. Yeah. We want it to be magical for the other kids, even though they don't belong to us. So it was really cool that they took the time and made it magical for us, too. Yes, I also had a little snap bracelet, Pascal, that I had purchased beforehand. So basically his little arms were a snap bracelet, hello 80s, and he wrapped around your arm or anything that you wanted to wrap him around.
He is the cutest
adorable thing ever. I'm in love with him. So he was in all of those pictures, obviously. Yes. And then...
So it was really funny because Julie's like, am I allowed to buy this? And I'm like, you're an adult. You're allowed to buy whatever you want.
Yeah. He's so great. So Ariel and Eric, not Jeff, were super nice. Ariel... I feel like Ariel and Jeff were not as... Eric.
Where did you get Jeff from?
I don't know. Jeff was just the first name that... Like, Jeff is pretty generic, like Eric, and that was just the first name that popped into my brain. So now it's just Ariel and Jeff in my brain. Ariel was a little more interactive than Eric was. Eric was just kind of like, I'm a prince. I'm amazing. And kind of, I wasn't impressed.
But those eyebrows.
Oh my god, his eyebrows. I think we took... Oh no, he was pretty cool. Because we asked him to take a picture of just his eyebrows.
Yes, and I think he
So aside from our eyebrow interaction...
Yes. He took that like a champ, like the me talking about his eyebrows. And I think that
And
might
Amy can get a little awkward whilst talking to Disney characters, so he was super cool with her awkwardness.
But
he made it much less awkward.
Yes, he did. He rolled with it. I like it when they can roll with it, and I think that threw Ariel off a little bit because I was like, but that those eyebrows.
Yeah. I think she was expecting us to pay more attention to her because she was the Disney princess. But
yes, and we
were
like,
all about Flynn and Eric. Sorry, we're ladies in our 30s, and we love us some Disney princes.
Mm-hmm. I love Prince Philip from Sleeping
You know
Beauty.
who I love? The Beast as the Beast and not as the Prince.
I do love Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty. He was always one of my favorite princes, and he is very hard to come by these days.
What other princes are there? Oh, Aladdin was my favorite.
Oh,
hardcore crush on Aladdin. And possibly because he was voiced by Steve, and I had a huge crush on Steve from Full House. But dear Lord, Aladdin.
So, we're just going to take a minute.
Oh. So I joke that my dream man is a combination of Andy Dwyer, Ben Wyatt, both from Parks and Rec, and Aladdin. That is my dream man, and yes, a third of him is cartoon.
So we all remember the episode of Full House where they go to where they go to Disney World with Jesse and the Rippers are singing or something.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares about that. But so DJ keeps seeing Steve everywhere, and the first place she thinks she sees Steve is dressed up as Aladdin, and of course he did the voice of Aladdin, so that's why they did that. Go home and watch Full House.
At the restaurant, they have some really delicious food options. It is only one dining credit, which I was actually really surprised about when we booked this dining reservation because I really expected it to be 2 because it's character.
A lot of character meals will be 2 credits.
So I was really surprised that it was only 1 dining credit because it's character and it's breakfast at one of the fancier, I want to say, restaurants of the park.
Really good breakfast.
It was really good breakfast. I would have spent 2 credits on this breakfast.
Easily.
So they start off with a fresh fruit dish, which is just a really great way to start. You get this nice fresh fruit, and what they bring to you next, you're going to be grateful that you had the fresh fruit. So they bring out this muffin and pastry dish, and it's really cool because it's served in a cast iron skillet, like what Rapunzel used to whack Flynn Rider over the head.
Yep.
Which is, it's just, it plays along with the theme of the restaurant. It's really awesome. So there is a pastry shaped like Rapunzel's son, which is really awesome, and it was way more delicious, and it was like this light flaky pastry that I wasn't expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be really dense because it was so small. I was expecting it to be
more cookie-like,
much more cookie-like, but it was really, really flaky, and it was almost like just like layers of phyllo dough magically.
It wasn't, but it kind of
had that texture to it, which was really awesome. The next thing that they had was a raspberry jam, or was it strawberry jam? It was a jam-filled puff that looked like a clamshell, so
with a little tiny pearl on the top.
Yeah, so it was kind of a play on the Little
pearls.
Mermaid, and so it had the pearl on the outside, so it looked like a clam, which was really awesome, and we took it to go because they gave us way too many pastries, and it held up, and we had it the next morning for breakfast, and it was really awesome. They also had a chocolate twist pastry,
which was supposed to represent Rapunzel's braid.
Which, like, seriously, you just get all of these little things that make the whole experience that much better. And it was similar to one of the twists that you get from the Cheshire Cat, which was, is it called the Cheshire Cat, or is the meal, whatever. It was basically a chocolate pastry twist, and if you've ever been to the Cheshire Cat in Magic Kingdom, it has the purple swirly, it has the purple swirly stuff on it, like the purple frosting. It's kind of like that, but it does
not have the multicolored frosting on it.
So they also had some very, basic muffins, mini muffins that were awesome. So I think they had a chocolate chip one and a blueberry one.
They also had, a multicolored one that was
had
Ariel's
a chocolate
colors.
Yes, and they also had a chocolate croissant.
Yes, because I love chocolate croissants.
Yeah, no, I think that was the fruit one. So that was, blueberry and, I don't know, it was delicious.
Delicious pastries.
But they were mini muffins, so they weren't too much, but they were
Giants.
insanely fresh. And it just, coming from the start with, this free pastry plate edition was just so delicious.
If you want more than one of a particular pastry, just ask nicely, and they'll likely give you more, because we definitely asked for like 2 clamshells or something.
What did we ask for? We asked for 2 of the stars.
Yes.
I mean, the moons, the suns, whatever.
Something. We asked for 2 of something.
We asked for 2 of something, and they came back with it, which was really awesome because neither of us really wanted to share it. For the meals, this is what we got. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about all the other food that was on the menu. So I got the royal breakfast, which was oak toasted steak. And sometimes when I go to restaurants, I'm really scared because when I order steak, they never cook it properly. But I asked for medium rare, and this steak came out medium rare, and it was cooked perfectly, and it was just so tender and so delicious. It comes with a cheesy egg tort with fondue, which is the type of cheese that they used. So it was this cheesy egg tort with fondue that was really, really delicious. It was kind of like a mini egg souffle, and it was served with asparagus on top, and the fondue was the cheese sauce that was on top, and I asked for extra, and of course they gave me extra because they loved me, and why wouldn't you want any extra? I dipped my steak in that cheese sauce, I dipped the asparagus in the cheese sauce, and I also dipped what comes with it next. So it comes with breakfast potatoes, and these things were cooked crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside, and I really could have eaten like 1,000 of them. They were so insanely delicious. And then on top of the breakfast potatoes were crispy onions, which were basically like fried French onions. So basically what you put on top of a green bean casserole, but 1,000 times better because they were freshly made.
And not French's French fried onions, which are delicious.
But I also, sponsor us. So I also dipped those into the fondue. But I dipped the breakfast potatoes in the fondue. I dipped the steak into the fondue. I dipped the cheese egg tort. There's nothing better than a good cheese sauce. So I really, really enjoyed my breakfast. It was insanely delicious.
I had the 2 poached eggs underwater, which is 2 poached eggs, and they were perfectly poached with a nice runny yolk, and the white was properly cooked, but the inside was nice and runny. A lot of times in Disney, we've found that that poached egg is hard on the inside, like you don't get that runny yolk. So that was really exciting. That was like the make or break moment of this dish.
Oh, seriously, those eggs were cooked perfectly.
I know, I gave you some, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you did? I got a bite.
Yeah. It also had a fennel sausage, like, crumbled on top, and it says Sunday gravy, but it was a red sauce, because Italian Sunday gravy is a red sauce. There was Parmesan cheese and some microgreens, I believe, on the top, and it was served over golden polenta, which was seasoned and perfectly cooked, and I love polenta when it's cooked right. And if you've never had it, it's basically like Italian grits. And it was with a toasted focaccia bread, you know, to dip in the delicious egginess. So they present it as a...
just in my head on my microphone.
So they present it as a healthier option, and it definitely is a healthier option than some of the other things on the menu. It's super delicious, and I'm so happy that that is what I chose for my breakfast, because there are a lot of other delicious sounding options, and I feel like I made the right decision.
So I just want to touch upon the Sunday gravy. So when you think gravy, you think like a brown gravy. But when you're talking about an Italian gravy, their Sunday gravy is a red sauce, but it's full of flavor and it's just super delicious. So when you're going into this meal and you see Sunday gravy, do not think actual gravy, think a red sauce.
So there were a lot of other meal options that were just as delicious.
So I had a really hard time deciding what I wanted to get because every option here sounds insanely delicious. So this is probably a breakfast that we're definitely going to have to do again.
Definitely.
One, because Flynn Rider, Eugene Fitzherbert, who doesn't want to see him again?
And dem eyebrows on Eric.
Dem eyebrows. So, meal options. The next thing that they had was King Trident's Shipwreck al Forno. So this was a calzone. Welcome to the calzone zone. Shout out to Ben Wyatt. So it came with eggs, peppers, salumi, bacon, sausages, and cheese. And it was also served with Sunday gravy. Again, the red gravy. And this...
When they actually, like, serve it to you, they present it with this fancy trident skewer through it that they then immediately remove.
Okay, so the Sunday gravy is inside the calzone, and there may be some dribbled on top, but it's basically like your calzone. Your red sauce, your meats, your cheeses, your egg, because it's breakfast calzone.
This would be the equivalent of the Hungry Man breakfast at, like, any diner. Like,
yeah, it really would.
The huge, massive breakfast that they always have at a diner.
And I don't know that the calzone is that big, But because of the bread that is the calzone plus all the fillings, it definitely is a very it's a very feeling meal.
From photos I've seen and from what I've seen people talk about on the internet, it is
The
quite
interwebs.
large. Definitely a large meal.
So they got to go. What do we take? We took some of the pastries home.
Yes.
So the next thing is the tangled eggs, which is eggs with mozzarella, tomato basil eggs, some more Sunday gravy, the breakfast potatoes, which again are amazing. And then it's served with bacon or sausages. And then the table next to us got bacon and sausages as their side to this, so it's just a smaller order of each if you want to try both. The Tower of Pancakes is the next option, which is actually really cool. I really like this option. So it's basically, I think it's 4 or 5 pancakes, but they're smaller and thicker. They're not spread out, and they're stacked on top of each other. And then Rapunzel's sun is powdered sugared on the top of them.
I think the pancakes are cooked in a ring.
And it's served with a fruit compote and bacon or sausages. Again, if you want to try bacon and sausage, you could probably get both.
The Swimmer's Delight is another one of the lighter side options. I
But
think,
sounds amazing.
yes, I think this would probably be the lightest of the options. It's an egg white omelet, smoked salmon, goat cheese, spinach, mushroom, tomato, and those delicious breakfast potatoes.
Like
again.
the most amazing breakfast potatoes you'll ever have in your entire life. If you have not had these breakfast potatoes, you have not lived.
This is one of the other options I was considering, because apparently on this trip, thinking back, I was like, I'm gonna eat a relatively healthy breakfast because we're eating a lot of food. And I obviously chose the other option, but this does sound and looked delicious from what I've seen. The last option is the Golden Frittata with salumi, piquillo peppers in the chili family, but sweet, not spicy. I believe Julie did her research there.
So don't be afraid by the name chili. It's not spicy.
Yes, so I understand. Scallions pecorino, yeah, that's what that says. Pecorino Romano, which is of course a cheese, and in all capital letters,
The
breakfast potatoes! Drink options.
So we went with the Bloody Mary, which was a caprese Bloody Mary. So it had a tomato, it had a little burrata ball. So burrata is fancy mozzarella cheese and some basil on top of it, which was to die for.
It was quite a good Bloody Mary.
We also got the Tratoria al Forno pressed pot coffee, which was not as good as the Kona, but it was
like
also still delicious. So both of them were French press coffee. Anytime we see French press coffee on the menu, we have to try it. But Kona has definitely been our favorite of the French pressed coffee.
Yes. They also have red sangria, white sangria, peach Bellini, mimosa, Italian iced coffee, which I believe has frangelico
So
in
the
it.
Italian iced coffee is coffee, cream, sugar, frangelico. Like we said, we're going to be talking about the Disney check meals at every restaurant. And for the Trattoria al Forno, they have the Little Royal Breakfast, which is basically the same thing. It's just steak and scrambled eggs versus steak and all the crazy things that I told you about earlier. And the Lil Swimmer's Delight. He may have been Lil. Up in horsey heaven, here's the thing. Trade your legs for angels' wings.
I picked up at the chorus because I was trying to speed us along.
When you say goodbye. So the Little Swimmer's Delight is an egg white omelet with spinach and potatoes and those awesome breakfast potatoes on the side.
Yum, yum, yum.
And then the regular kids' meals are the Flounders Flapjacks.
Which do not contain fish.
No, they are just, because Flounder was her fish. And I think it's a stack of 3 of the same
Yes, tiny little pancakes.
as the fancy one, but kid size. And it comes with bacon or sausage and some fruit. And then the other one is a character waffle. It is not a Mickey waffle. I believe it was Rapunzel's star. Son.
Yeah, it was one of the little round ones. I know.
But it was a waffle. So basically like the same size as the pancakes, but waffle.
Yeah, so I know that over at one of the Animal Kingdom, is it Boma? Boma, they have Simba waffles. It's the same
cool.
idea.
And it also comes with bacon or sausage and fruit.
Fruit.
So overall, we really loved the character interactions. The food was amazing. We really, really, really loved the great touches with the themed food. So the pastry platter that had the characters and then the main meal as well.
It was just a really fun breakfast. As you will learn from listening to this podcast, I am not big on breakfast, meals, spending, credits, spending larger amounts of money on breakfast meals because
She's just kind of a downer. She's definitely not a Leslie Knope.
I love breakfast food, though.
Eggs, bacon, and toast.
Eggs, bacon, and toast.
Why don't you start your day
the Gergish way with eggs, bacon, and toast? For basic breakfast foods, you can get them really easily, really quickly, and much less expensively at the quick service dining options at the various resorts. So if that's what we're going for, I'd rather just get it, eat it, head to a park, do something like that. But really delicious food options like this one, I totally don't mind how much time or money we're going to spend because yum, yum, yum.
And the thing is, with something like this, it's not your generic breakfast foods.
Yeah.
It's not just bacon, eggs, toast, which in the normal world is awesome. Eggs, bacon, and toast.
Oh, it is. I love them.
But it kind of gave us a more creative flair. There were characters, so there was a lot of interaction with it. It was just a really special experience.
It's a good value for what you're
doing. Oh, it was definitely worth it. Like I said, I would have paid 2 credits for this.
Yeah, I would easily have as well. And we know how I feel about breakfast because I just said it.
So our next option was also a breakfast at Cape May, and had I known Amy was so against breakfast, I would not have. I'm just kidding. But this was also one of those meals that was more than just eggs, bacon, and toast. So Cape May is at the Beach Club Resort, and what DisneyWorld.com says is, Minnie and some of her friends have gathered at the Cape May Cafe to start the day with a beach bash breakfast. They are all dressed up in their beachy best, and you are invited to join the fun. Create unforgettable memories, get autographs and photos, and enjoy menu offerings including Mickey waffles, scrambled eggs, seasoned potatoes, sausage, oatmeal, and more. But again, with something like that, the title even says Mickey waffles, scrambled eggs, and toast. I mean, obviously it doesn't say toast, but you know what I mean. It kind of has the generics. The characters that we meet are
Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and now Daisy. It's a fun character interaction because they're all, as it says in the description, dressed in beach finery. Goofy especially brings me back because...
Oh, he was so fun.
He's so, oh my god, he was so fun. But so when I was little, coming to Disney World when my grandparents lived in Florida, we were taking the boat over either from the Ticket and Transportation Center or something like... We were taking the boat... When I was little, we were taking the boat over to Magic Kingdom, and Goofy was water skiing.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Yes, Goofy, this was back before, they didn't allow people
Oh my god, because of,
No, this was way before, they stopped letting people in there way before that, but Goofy was actually water skiing.
That is the coolest thing ever.
Yes.
Oh, I wish I
Goofy's in his, if I'm remembering correctly from our breakfast, Goofy is in his board shorts, and if I'm remembering correctly, he's got a flotation vest on, so when he was water skiing. So I was just having a flashback to when I was little watching Goofy water ski, and it was so amazing. Donald and Minnie were also amazing.
So we had the first breakfast at 7:30. So what was really cool is I think we were actually the first people that they sat down, which was insanely awesome. So we were able to get our food before the characters even came out. So when they came out, we were sitting, we were ready, we
were table 1 too.
We were table 1. So when they came around, they came to us first. So it was really cool. There weren't too many people at breakfast at that time, so they were able to spend a lot more time with us. I think they came around a couple times to say hi to us, and we were like,
saw them at least twice.
Hey, what's up? Why? We already talked to you. But
that was our initial reaction, and then we
were
surprised. Yeah,
we were definitely super excited to see them again. It was a buffet, which we're not normally a huge fan of because most of the options at the regular buffets are just kind of, like we've said, touched upon 14 different times today, they're just basic scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, and Mickey waffles. Not that they're not delicious, but I can get all of that at my resort for a lot cheaper and not have to wait. And this one had several frittatas, and a frittata, if you don't know what it is basically a crustless quiche.
Yes.
The food.
Yum.
So, This is the meat and potatoes. Except breakfast
You're
food.
using that pun a lot.
I'm using this pun way too much. I'm gonna kill it.
Food.
The food. So from the website, don't be deterred from this because the website really gives a terrible explanation of what's on this menu. It's like, hey, we got some eggs, we got some toast, we got some muffins, and other breakfast selections. To which you think, what the heck are the other breakfast selections?
I think they're vague because they do like change up the other breakfast selections, but
I
they
understand
need a
that,
little
but like,
better job
give
of
me
it.
a little something to go for. So what we did for this is Julie, me, was kind of obsessed with looking at reviews of different breakfasts because at that time I was insanely obsessed with breakfast at the time. I wanted to do all the breakfasts. I think we did 3 breakfasts that trip.
Yeah, and at the same time when you were planning out this particular month's podcast, you suddenly got onto breakfast again, and we booked like, 3 or 4 breakfasts that we have for our trip?
Shh. 3.
3. That's still 3.
No, I think it's just 2. Allen Compass and Raglan Road. It's just 2. We were going to do Boma, but then you convinced me to do dinner.
Yeah.
Because dinner's not...
Yeah.
So someone told me that the Boma breakfast was really good, but then we looked at the menu and the dinner's actually better. So we're doing Boma dinner.
We may do Boma breakfast in the future. Probably will, but...
Oh, we definitely will at some point, but dinner was definitely the option we went for this time. So what I did was I looked at some of the reviews that they have on DisneyFoodBlog.com.
Shout out. We love you guys.
And that was how I kind of picked this place because they actually gave pictures and some ideas of what they actually have there for breakfast, and I realized that it's not just your basic scrambled bacon sausage.
Eggs, bacon, and toast.
And Mickey waffles.
Mickey waffles.
So, what they had was mini muffins. Because who doesn't want a teeny tiny adorable muffin? Cereal. They had adult cereal and kids cereal. So they had like the flakes, the frosted flakes, not frosted flakes. I don't know what flakes are called when they're not frosted.
Cornflakes.
Cornflakes.
They're great.
Great!
I really love Frosted Flakes, though.
Yeah, Frosted Flakes are, oh my god, and then the milk after is just really magical. So they had cornflakes, and then they also had for kids, I think they had like Fruit Loops.
Yeah, I was thinking Fruit Loops.
Yeah, they
so
had
clearly,
a couple
clearly
of
it's Fruit Loops because I had that on the mind, too.
And then they had some breads, so they had white and wheat toast, and by toast I mean they had white and wheat bread that you could toast yourself, bagels, and English muffins, and then there was a toaster available to toast them yourself, which I thought was pretty cool. Next, we had some fruit options. I took an entire plate of just pineapple.
I think I might have done that, too.
Yeah, no, we totally did. We both had just the pineapple.
I eat pineapple like a crazy person. I even eat the core because it's like a snack to eat while I'm cutting up the pineapple. You just have to eat it in the correct direction.
Oh.
So you're eating down on the fibers, not cutting across the fibers.
Right. So everything was really fresh. I also had cottage cheese with my pineapple, and then they also had granola available and some yogurt so that you could make your own parfait. And then it looked like I think it was a strawberry yogurt, and then they had a vanilla option. Mm-hmm. They had oatmeal. They also had a flavored quinoa, which I didn't try. Did you try?
I can't remember. I definitely tried it, but I can't remember the flavor.
So I know they've had like strawberry quinoa and some other flavors. A lox bar. This was really cool because I am in love with capers. As you can see, I wrote it in all capital letters.
I am also in love with capers. If you remember, I said many times in culinary school that capers are a highly underutilized ingredient.
Oh my god, they really are. So the lox bar had smoked salmon, capers, tomatoes, and onions. So basically what you would put on a lox bagel, minus the cream cheese and bagel, but that also existed as well. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, I was really disappointed about this. They claimed they had... So they didn't actually call it a charcuterie selection. They called it select sliced meats and cheeses. It was basically some sliced meat and cheeses. It wasn't impressive. It was fresh and still delicious, but not what I was expecting.
Yeah,
I think
Disney cheese plates and charcuterie plates and all
are
that
generally amazing.
Yes, yeah, they're generally pretty good. Even the ones that are like not that great are usually, by most standards, still really good. So it was kind of like a letdown.
Really disappointing. Really disappointing. So they have regular scrambled eggs. One of the things that we saw on Disney Food Blog was the chorizo and cheese scrambled eggs. I know that we had a scrambled egg that wasn't your normal scrambled egg, but I don't know. There was some stuff in it. It may have been chorizo.
We clearly ate here before we had even possibly thought about having a podcast.
Exactly. So we have
it.
some pictures of what we're on our plate, and I will post those on
Maybe we have to go back
Instagram.
at some point.
Oh, darn. I want to do dinner before we do breakfast
Yeah, we
again, though.
definitely do, yeah.
Their breakfast buffet is basically seafood, which is awesome.
And by breakfast buffet, she means dinner.
I said before. Oh, what did I say? Whatever. So their dinner buffet is seafood and magicalness. And we actually, at breakfast, our server was like, yeah, you need to come back for the dinner buffet because it's 1,000 times better. So we were impressed with this buffet. And so going back for dinner, we're super excited. They had a sausage, feta, and spinach frittata. I don't know if it was sausage or tomato. I think ours was tomato.
I can't remember. It was delicious. It was
a good frittata.
There was a lot of food, and it was a buffet, and I like to try everything I possibly can.
Yeah, so we got little samples of
when
everything.
I do go to a buffet.
Yeah. They had perfectly, and I have in parentheses, for a buffet, cooked bacon. So when you go to buffets, you either hit or miss with the bacon. This was definitely a hit.
Yeah, it's either overcooked or undercooked.
And this was actually pretty on par for cooked well.
Yeah.
They had sausages. They had home fries. I was insanely excited about this part. They had asparagus with hollandaise sauce. I definitely got a plate of just the asparagus with probably a Super Bowl amount of hollandaise sauce on it.
Okay, well, I was trying to eat healthy, so I didn't get a whole plate of it, but I definitely tried the asparagus and hollandaise sauce.
It was more like Julie ate some hollandaise sauce with a side of asparagus.
Yeah.
So, cheese grits were also an option. Biscuits and gravy, and the gravy on this was actually really, really good. I'm not normally a biscuits and gravy kind of gal, but it was super delicious, so definitely try that. They had French toast with caramelized bananas, which if you ever had Bananas Foster, it was kind of reminiscent of that. They obviously had Mickey waffles, and they had a bread pudding, which I didn't try.
I always try the bread pudding.
How was
it? I don't remember it being bad, so it must have been pretty good. I definitely would have tried it, and I don't remember it being bad, and I would have remembered it being bad, so it must have been very good. Disney bread pudding's usually pretty good.
So our overall thoughts on Cape May Cafe. For a breakfast buffet, it was definitely one of Disney's best. I thought the character interactions were really great.
I agree.
Amy got an autographed birthday card because we were celebrating her birthday that day. They didn't actually sign, well, we didn't have anything for them to sign when they came out, so they came back with the birthday card signed with all the characters, which was really awesome. They had a nice variety of food. There was definitely something for everyone, and there were a few really creative things, like the French toast with caramelized bananas. I mean, asparagus with hollandaise sauce, not really creative, but definitely on Julie's number one, my number one. And then for Amy...
It is still, for me, a breakfast buffet, which is not my, go-to, but I would do it again, which, me saying I would go to a breakfast buffet again...
means that it was a good breakfast buffet.
Yes. We have the Helen test, we have the Amy buffet test.
the Amy breakfast buffet test. So that brings us to our fan favorite food segment. This is where we share a Disney food memory from one of our fans. If you want to be featured on this segment, please email your favorite Disney food memory to onelittlespice@gmail.com. The other place where you can share it is also on our Facebook page. There is a pinned post where you can share your Disney food memory as well. So comment your Disney food memory and have it featured in our fan favorite food segment. So this week's fan favorite food comes from Jonna Eggle, all the way in California. Her favorite recipe is from Disneyland, and it's a story that makes me jealous that we don't go as crazy with the Haunted Mansion Halloween decorations as they do in Disneyland.
I haven't even read it, and just that statement is already making me jealous.
Yeah. So I'm listening to your podcast, and it reminded me of one of my favorite Disney food memories. I was at Disneyland with my mother. We had annual passes at the time, and it was either late October or early November. We stopped at our usual French Market Cafe, and it turned out that all the food was Haunted Mansion or Nightmare Before Christmas themed, leaving us surrounded with chocolate cobweb-topped cheesecakes and such. We ended up splitting the chicken 6 feet under, having no real idea what we'd be getting. It wound up being a mashed potato base with 6 chicken legs sticking stiffly up out of it, like something rolled over and died. It was so funny and ridiculous that we both burst out laughing, and that just set the tone for the rest of the day. She also added a heart and 6 chicken leg emojis to the end of this, which I just thought was insanely cute and super awesome.
I'm super jealous.
Yeah, I wish the Haunted Mansion in Disney World was as awesome as Disneyland. And if you guys don't know, they go all out and really decorate for Halloween at the Haunted Mansion, and we just don't do that in Disney World, and it makes me super sad. So thank you so much, Jonna, for this Disney food memory. It's nice having a food memory from Disneyland as well, but thank you so much for sharing this with us, and maybe you'll have a Disney World food memory to share with us, too.
If you are more of a fan of Disneyland than Disney World, we do also definitely want to hear your favorite food memory. We ourselves hope to get there someday. Julie already has been to Disneyland. I have not. And I'm super jealous of all of you, so...
I actually really do have a really awesome food memory from Disneyland as well. One's from Disneyland and one's from California Adventure. I need to specify because Jonna would be really mad if I did not.
Maybe you should submit it to our fan favorite food.
Maybe I'll be selected to be featured on our podcast. Anyway, so if you want to share one of your favorite Disney food memories, whether it's from Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland Paris, Disneyland Shanghai, Hong Kong, Tokyo, anywhere, we want to hear your food memories. Please share them with us. If you want to share your favorite Disney food memory and be featured on one of our episodes, please send your story to onelittlespice@gmail.com or share your story in the comment section of our pinned Facebook post. You'll see that right at the top. Follow us on social media. On Twitter, we are at onelittlespice. Instagram, we are at @1_little_spice. But if you search One Little Spice, you'll find us as well. And on Facebook, we are One Little Spice. Make sure you join our One Little Spice group on Facebook to talk about each episode and all things Disney food. There are 3 questions to answer once you hit join. It's just so we can learn even more about our fans. If you have any thoughts or comments to add to our upcoming podcasts, share on social media, or please email us. We are now on Patreon. You can join us there for an exclusive swag pack, access to the Magical Snack Corner, which is our bi-weekly episode about Disney snacks, a chance to co-host a Magical Snack Corner with us, a live monthly Google Hangout with us, and much more. If any of that sounds awesome to you, head over to www.patreon.com/onelittlespice and choose your support level. By supporting us on Patreon, you are helping us to bring you even more awesome Disney food content more often. When we reach our first goal, we can start creating our website where we can give you even more Disney food information all in one place. We'll be able to share all of our food pictures and stories there and hear from you too. We are also on TeePublic, so you can head there. The link is in the description of this podcast, and buy some One Little Spice swag. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, notebooks, stickers, mugs, anything that your heart desires. So you can head over there and pick up some One Little Spice swag. And thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Join us after this podcast on our Facebook page and our One Little Spice group on Facebook to continue the discussion and talk about all things Disney food. And just remember, every recipe starts with one little spice. Our first episode, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, boopity boo. Monthly Google Hangout.
Google Hangout.
Ariel was a little more Eric. We'll pay for the kitchen sink.
Oh yeah.
But we ain't paying for everything, bud. We're recording.
What? After work.
After work. Distinctually. Amy, can you sit forward and actually be a part of this conversation? The current hour is 9:10 and we're still recording. No.
Tratoria of Forno.
My monorail away. That too. Harry Potter didn't get to select the part of his arms where I will not tell lies ended up etched into his skin. You don't get to pick where your little like elastic hits.